I think that of all of the presidents of my adult lifetime, the guy who I would be most comfortable having a beer with, definitely Biden. With Clinton, he's so slick, I'd be a little bit like, does he really like me or is he just shining me on?
Ooh, I do not want to have a beer with Clinton.
Everybody always says W is a good hang, and that's fine. But I'd have a beer with Joe. Hello, everyone. This is JVL here with my best friend, Sarah Longwell. I want to start with something refreshing. Now, I know that I am just the people get very angry with me because I'm the one guy in America who likes Joe Biden. And look, honestly, if this was like Obama, where there was an entire cult of people running around calling him the greatest president since like Lincoln or something, then I would feel, even if I agreed with him, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I can sit this one out. But I am the only person in America who thinks, yeah, this guy's a good president. Doing a pretty good job. I'm sorry. Am I supposed to pretend I'm not? And we have a thing out today with Jonathan Lemire. I don't know how you pronounce his name. Lemire.
You don't watch enough cable news, bro.
I watch precisely zero cable news.
I know.
And this is a thing that what Joe Biden thinks about Donald Trump behind closed doors. And what we did is, at a rally, the president said, this is
Get
Biden.
your beeper out. Get your beeper out. Hide your kids, peep, right now.
At his rally, he jokes about an intruder whipped up by the big Trump lie taking a hammer to Paul Pelosi's skull, Biden said. And he thinks that's funny, the president continued. He laughed about it. What a sick... Oh. Now, he didn't say it there, but Lemire reports that to longtime friends and aides, he often says that Trump is a, quote, sick fuck who delights in others' misfortunes. And Biden recently said of Trump, what a fucking asshole this guy is. And you know what? I am sorry, but I am happy to have a president who, A, doesn't say that stuff in public.
Sure.
But B, like, doesn't hide the fact that he thinks those things, right? He isn't like in public saying, "Oh, Donald." It's like King David. He's so great. He's a god. But C, in private, has a normal person, normal human being reaction to the bizarre pathologies and just creepy evilness of Donald Trump. I look at all of that, all three of those things, and I just think, yeah, Joe Biden, he's like us.
This is one of those stories that I don't care about because it's like, oh, yeah, does Joe Biden says he doesn't like Donald Trump? Okay, well, so do we. Like, newsflash. I don't think it's, like, particularly interesting that Joe Biden thinks that this guy's effing a-hole because that is what anybody... I didn't mention to you that I wanted to talk about this, but I did. So on George Conway Explains It All to Sarah Longwell today, which we're going to release. It may actually be already out by the time this hits. You guys should check it out because we have Robbie Kaplan on, fresh off of her $83.3 million judgment against Trump. And she goes really deep on what it was like to be in these depositions with him. And, like, these stories are funny. They're not fun. They're funny in the same way this Joe Biden thing is, where he is like Trump is like a 15-year-old boy in terms of his sense of humor. At one point, he said to her, "See you next Tuesday." And she was like, "What do you mean? We're meeting on Wednesday." And he was like, "See you next Tuesday." And she was like, well, I'm pretty sure it's Wednesday. And, like, left. And her staff, she says, this is a great story. Like, her staff is like, he was trying to call you the C word. And she was like, thank God I didn't know that he was doing this. Because
I get it.
But she also said that he got so angry that apparently that's like very, it's just like what lawyers do. They provide lunch when you are doing depositions over lunch, and they do it for the court reporter, for the lawyers, and everybody goes to a different room and they have their lunch. And that when Trump was like, what are you going to do for lunch though? You're at Mar-a-Lago. We're not going to give you lunch. And she was like, oh no, your lawyers are providing us lunch. And that he knocked over in fury a stack of papers sitting next to him. And like, yeah, guy's an effing a-hole. Like it is like ridiculous behavior, and it's fine for people to acknowledge it. But I'm not sure it's like a blockbuster story.
Not a blockbuster story. Not a blockbuster. For me, it reinforces the on the question of, would you want to have a beer with Joe Biden?
I think Joe Biden is a nice man. When you say you're the only one who likes him, I like him fine. I think he's a nice man.
I take so much heat for being, look at the Biden stand, wearing the team jersey. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I think he's been a good president. The economy's doing great. He handled Ukraine well. He's doing good foreign diplomacy with the Israelis. Like, like, what more do we want? You know, like,
I've got a list of things that I want, but like, you know, beggars can't be choosers, and I'm not mad at him. That's not true. I'm a little, I think one of the things, and this where I think I might impute my own feelings on this, but like, I am deeply certain that Joe Biden's low poll numbers are actually have less to do with frustration at the job Joe Biden is doing than it does frustration with the fact that Joe Biden is running again. Because I think Joe Biden has missed an enormous opportunity to just be a legend, to have like beaten Trump once, come back in, be a normal guy, elevate a new bench of people, spend his whole time at a podium talking about how like we got to put this country back together, and we got this incredible group of Democrats, and meet all these people and have a big surrogate game. And instead it's been like a weird, I don't know why is this? Is it a don't outshine Biden? Is it like, I don't know why the communication infrastructure has been what it is. And I just think the idea that I think his low approval ratings are sort of the same thing that I hold against him, which is that I feel like it is a real mistake that he's doing this again. And it's not really a critique on him or his presidency.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Let's pretend that we have, like, you remember Quantum Leap?
I do. I loved Quantum Leap.
So let's pretend, was it Scott Bakula?
Scott Bakula, yeah.
So let's pretend Quantum Leap style, we can leap into an alternate timeline together. In the alternate timeline, Joe Biden has declined to run, and Gavin Newsom is the nominee.
Nope.
In that timeline, do you wish that Joe Biden had remained the nominee? You wish that Joe Biden had run for re-election?
That's a tough one. You hit me. You hit me with one. You hit me with one that you knew would get me.
How about we do another? We walk in this timeline. We're like, oh no, this is bad. We hop into the portal again, and we come out in another one where Kamala Harris is the nominee. Do you still think, Joe Biden shouldn't have run again? Because I think those two.
Do I get to play this? Do I get to set the terms of the Quantum Leap?
Well, look, if we jump into a universe where Josh Shapiro is the nominee. Mm-hmm. Or Gretchen Whitmer is the nominee, great. But what are the odds that we would have wound up in one of those universes versus Newsom or Kamala?
I mean, I got a lot of other names I could throw into the Quantum Leap machine, though, to spin the wheel and see if we could get there. But I agree. Look, a lot of that didn't become. He could have taken the 2022 win and said like, okay, this was huge, and now I'm going to figure out how to elevate these guys. And look, I do think there's no doubt. They feel like they boxed themselves in with Kamala, where they know she would lose. So when Joe Biden's saying, like, I'm the only one who can beat him, he doesn't really mean that. He means I'm more likely to beat him than Kamala, and now she's next in line, and there's nothing we can do about that. And so I would just say that in the polling, I'm like, I'm very convinced. But again, this is me reading my own feelings into it a little bit, that like that is the frustration. Like, it's not like I hear from people in the focus groups when you talk to Dems. They don't say, I think Joe Biden's been a bad president. They don't say that at all. Sometimes they wish they saw him more. They wish he'd done more on this or that of their pet interests, or that he was more of a fighter. But mostly what they're down on is his age.
Yeah, I was just saying, how much of it is age?
Yeah, it's just like
pure.
Age,
I don't like it because he's too old.
Listen, if Joe Biden was 74... we'd all be like, he's going to do it again till he's 78, and that's pretty old. That's different from starting out at 82, and he will be 86 at the end of his term. And like, I think people, the extent to which people have there was, we were at our show, our live show, And the live show is just filled with the most wonderful people who want to say super nice things, maybe ask a question, get a selfie, give a hug. Love it. There was a woman this time, though, who was like kind of confrontational. And she was she was an older woman, and she said the reason that voters care about, the reason everybody cares about Joe Biden is because you guys never stop talking about it. And you in the media, which I'm still like getting used to the fact that people think. I don't think that's true. I'm 100% certain it's not true.
Yeah.
We could stop talking about it all the time, and you know who would not stop talking about it is the voters. Like, and these are not people who are out to get Joe Biden. I'm just talking about you round up 20, as I have done many times. You round up 20 Democrats and say, like, how do you feel about Joe Biden running again? And they're all like, no, this shouldn't happen. And I think that is, and it's one of the reasons, honestly, I'm optimistic about Biden's numbers turning around eventually, because I think once people kind of are like, okay, this is what we're doing, they'll get on board. But right now, they're just registering a ton. They're registering the idea because they still think he might not do it. I mean, the number of people who think he might at the convention be like, somebody else is going to, Gretchen Whitmer will be the it's not how these things work. It's not going to happen. But I think a lot of people think that.
This general state of affairs was reasonably predictable by about 1990 because the size of the baby boom generation meant that the boomers were going to hold on to power in American life for much longer than anybody else. And I know Biden isn't technically a boomer, but is
he greatest generation?
I think he's silent generation, not greatest. But Nancy Pelosi, Mitch McConnell, Chuck. I mean, there are a lot of people deep into their 70s or early 80s who are at the highest levels of American government, and I don't it's fine. Basically, I think it's fine. It doesn't bother me. It'd be nice to have some generational turnovers. So, we're never going to get a Gen X president. That's not true. We might get one Gen X president. But that's it. You elder millennials will get 2 or 3 of them, I think.
I'm either a young Gen X or an elder millennial, depending on who you ask.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, I know you want to hear more of this.
Yeah.
More time with me and JVL, right?
So much more.
JVL's got more darkness to bring.
I want to tell people why we're all going to die. But to get that, they've got to pay.
Bulwark Plus, guys. Go subscribe.